It was a calm evening on Earth. People were busy with their usual life working, laughing, walking, watching TV. But high above in space, something strange was moving, something big, a ship. Not a human ship. It was smooth like glass, silent. Like air, and 10 times bigger than the International Space Station. At first, no one noticed, but then satellites picked it up. The ship stopped just outside Earth's orbit. It didn't attack. It didn't hide. It just waited. Soon every country was watching it. Every space agency from NASA to ISRO sent messages. Who are you? What do you want? For 3 days there was silence. Then finally a message came. Not in any human language, but every translator understood it perfectly. It said, "We are the Zitrians. We come in peace. We wish to meet the males of your species." That message shook the world. Why? Just the males? What did they mean? The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Scientists, leaders, and military officers gathered. Some were afraid, others were curious. After hours of debate, they agreed to allow contact, but only under strict control. A safe meeting was planned at a secret space base in the Arizona desert. 10 human males were selected. Some were scientists, some soldiers, one was even a school teacher. All were healthy, smart, and polite. They were told not to touch anything, not to ask too many questions, and not to trust anyone too quickly. The day arrived. A special ship from the Zitrian mothership landed gently at the base. The door opened, and they stepped out. They looked nothing like the aliens from movies. The Zitrians were tall, glowing, and graceful. Their skin shimmered in soft colors: blue, silver, purple. And they didn't walk, they floated. But the most surprising thing was this: all of them were female. Their leader introduced herself with a gentle smile. Her name was Varaya. She spoke through a translator, but her voice was calm and clear. "We have watched your world for many years," she said. "We admire your male species, their kindness, their emotion, their spirit. We would like to understand them better." The human men were confused. Admired? For what? Varaya continued. "On our planet, emotions have faded. Logic rules everything. But your males, they are different. They still feel. They still dream. That is rare in the galaxy." One of the scientists, Dr. Malik, asked, "Why only males? What about females?" Varaya smiled again, but didn't answer. For the next 2 hours, the Zitrian females talked with the selected men. They asked questions about love, music, war, family. They listened carefully. Sometimes they laughed softly. Sometimes they looked amazed. But while the Zitrian females were friendly, their ship was being watched. Dr. Lena Hayes, a top human biologist, was observing from the control room. She noticed something strange. In the background of the live feed, some Zitrian males were visible far back. Near the ship's edge, they weren't smiling, they looked serious, cold, almost angry. Alina zoomed in and recorded their behavior. They didn't speak, they didn't move much. But their eyes followed the human males closely. Why were they not part of the visit? Why were only females interacting? As the meeting ended, Varaya said something odd. "We thank you. You are more than we hoped for. We shall return soon." "There's much to learn," she bowed. The other Zitrian females followed her back into their ship. In seconds, it rose into the sky and disappeared. The human team was silent. It was not a normal meeting. It felt personal. Back in the control room, Alina showed her findings to the top general. "Something is not right," she said. The male Zitrians were watching, but not like scientists, more like they were jealous. The general nodded. And they didn't say a word. As the world celebrated first contact, a hidden tension had already started. Why did the female Zitrians admire human men? And why did the male Zitrians look so angry? No one knew it yet, but this was not just a peaceful visit. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Something that could change the future of Earth? And maybe the galaxy. 2 weeks had passed? Since the alien ship left Earth. People across the world were still talking about it. News channels replayed the visit again and again. Social media was full of jokes, theories, and questions, but the human scientists were not laughing. Inside a top-secret research base in Nevada, Dr. Elena Hayes watched the video footage again, frame by frame. Her eyes didn't focus on the female. Aliens! She was watching the male Zitrions in the background. Their faces were still, their eyes full of something dark, not fear, not curiosity, but jealousy. Then, without warning, the Zitrions returned. This time they sent a message directly. To the base, we wish to invite your chosen males aboard our ship. A short visit, no harm, no secrets. It was a big decision. After hours of discussion, permission was granted, but with strong conditions. Every human would wear a tracking device. Communication would remain open at all times. And one human. Scientist Elena would monitor the visit from the ground. The chosen human men, 10 in total, stood at the landing pad again. Some were excited, some nervous. They were told to behave with respect but also stay alert. A soft light filled the sky. The Zitrian ship landed slowly, like a floating cloud. Its door opened. Vareya, the female leader, appeared again. She looked pleased. "We are honored," she said. "Come with us. There is beauty to show you." Inside the ship, the air felt lighter. The walls glowed softly and gentle music played. In the background, the alien females greeted each human with a small bow. They wore shimmering clothes that changed color with movement, but again, no male Zitrions were in sight. The humans were taken to a wide chamber. There were glowing chairs, small floating orbs, and strange flowers that moved like they were breathing. Each human male was paired with a Zitrian female for one-on-one conversation. Dr. Melik sat with a Zitrian named Arisa. "You smile often," she said to him. "Your heart is loud. We like that." Melik laughed nervously. "Loud? Is that a good thing?" She touched her chest gently. "It means alive." Other Zitrians asked odd questions too. What does it feel like to miss someone? Why do you cry at movies? What is a kiss? The human men were surprised, but flattered. The Zitrian females seemed truly interested, even amazed. They listened with wide eyes, sometimes copying expressions like surprise or laughter, but not all was calm. While the conversations continued, a low humming sound echoed in the ship. It wasn't part of the music. Back at the base, Dr. Elena noticed it on her monitor. This frequency, it's not for communication, it's emotional. She adjusted her scanner. A hidden signal was pulsing through the ship connected to Zitrian males. They were watching. Suddenly the feed cut for 3 seconds. When it returned, everything seemed normal. But Elena knew something was wrong. She quickly messaged the base commander. "I want them back, now." Inside the ship, one of the human men, a teacher named Ben, stepped away from the group to look at a glowing orb. A Zitrian female followed him. "Ben," she said softly, "would you like to see something private?" He turned. "What do you mean?" She smiled. "Something no human has seen. Something only you can understand." Ben hesitated. "Is it safe?" The Zitrian nodded. "It is beautiful." He agreed. They walked through a tall silver door that closed behind them, and Ben was gone, back on Earth. Elena's screen blinked red. One signal lost. "We've lost one," she said. "Pull them out." An emergency signal was sent. A voice message followed. "This visit is over. Return immediately." Inside the ship, Vareya received the message. She looked disappointed but respectful. "We understand. Your people worry too much, but we will obey." Within minutes, the human team was back on Earth except for Ben. When asked about him, Vareya said calmly, "He chose to stay." He asked for more time. "He is safe." But Elena didn't believe it. She looked again at the footage of Ben walking through the silver door. There was no sign of fear on his face, but his tracker had shut off the moment the door closed. That wasn't normal. That night, Elena stayed in the lab alone. She played the audio from the ship at low speed. One hidden voice appeared, low and deep. It said, "They are replacing us." The mystery was growing. Why did the Zitrian females admire human males so much? And why were the male Zitrians being left out? Ben was missing, and something told Elena this was just the beginning. The earth was quiet, but Dr. Alina's mind was not. It had been 4 days since the human man. Ben went missing inside the Zitrian ship. The alien leader Vareya claimed he stayed willingly. But no one could talk to him. No messages. No video. No proof. Alina didn't believe their words. She had spent every hour since then scanning data, audio logs and visual feeds, and in one file she found something, a shadow. It was tall, narrow, and moved in the background just before Ben vanished. It wasn't a Zitrian female. It was male. At the same time. In space, inside the Zitrian mothership, conflict was rising. The male Zitrians gathered in a dark chamber far from the humans. Their eyes glowed faint red, and their voices were low but full of anger. One of them, a powerful figure named Zorak, stood up. "We warned them," he growled. "We told the High Council. If they keep admiring these humans, we will be replaced." Another male nodded. "Our females ignore us. They call us cold. They say human males are better." Zorak clenched his fist. "Then maybe we should show them how warm we can become, with fire." Back on Earth, a strange message arrived. It was not from the Zitrian females. It came from deep space, encrypted and hidden. Dr. Alina cracked it after hours of work. The message was short but chilling. "They lie. The boy is not safe. The males plan to break the bond. The ship is no longer united." Alina showed the message to the military general at the base. "There's a fight happening up there," she said, "between their males and females, and we're stuck in the middle." The general frowned. "Are we in danger?" Alina nodded. "Yes, and so is Ben." Meanwhile, in the Zitrian ship, Ben was alive but confused. He was in a room that looked like Earth, a small park. Fake sky, birds that didn't blink. It felt too perfect. Arisa, the Zitrian female who had taken him there, visited often. "You are calm here," she said sweetly. "You smile more now." Ben tried to smile, but inside he felt trapped. "Why can't I talk to my people?" Arisa looked away. "They worry too much. Fear makes them weak. You are different." Ben stood up. "I want to go back." Arisa placed a soft hand on his shoulder. "Soon, but first we must show you something. Something important." That night, Ben was led through a glowing tunnel. It ended at a room filled with machines and large glass tubes. Inside those tubes were human-like shapes, not real people, but something close. Hybrids. Half human, half Zitrian. Ben stepped back in shock. "What is this?" A voice answered. Not Arisa's. It was Zorak, the Zitrian male. "This is the future your kind is helping to build. And it's a future without us." Ben looked at him. "What do you mean?" Zorak's eyes glowed brighter. "Our females believe your species is better, softer, smarter. They no longer need us. You are their new choice." Ben whispered, "That's not my fault." Zorak walked closer. "No, but you are part of the problem." Back at the Earth base, Alina made a bold decision. She called a secret meeting with the top leaders. Her plan was risky, but they had no time left. "We send someone to bring Ben back." A hidden tracker was placed on his uniform. "I found its signal again. He's still alive." The general stared at her. "And if they catch us?" Alina's voice was firm. "Then we tell the truth. The piece is broken already. We just haven't felt the fire yet." In space, the Zitrian ship shook slightly. The male Zitrians had hacked into the ship's systems. For the first time in centuries, the ship's command was divided. Vareya and her female council tried to stay calm. "We must explain to the humans," she said. "They deserve the truth." But Zorak had already moved ahead. He opened a secret communication line. To Earth. "Humans, your man is alive. But your peace is dead. Prepare your world. We are coming. Not to learn but to judge." On Earth, alarms rang. Elina read the message in silence. Her heart sank. They had welcomed the Zitrians with open arms. But now, jealousy had lit a fire no one could control. Ben was still up there. War was beginning. And Earth was standing in the center of it. Dr. Alina Hayes hadn't slept in 2 days. She sat alone in the cold lab, watching the signal on her screen blink slowly. It was Ben's tracker, alive, steady, but not moving. Somewhere deep inside the Zitrian ship, he was still out there. And now, Earth had less time than ever. The message. From Zorak, the angry Zitrian male, echoed in her mind. We are coming. Not to learn, but to judge? What did he mean? Judge what? Humanity, or their own kind? Alina opened a sealed folder project. Helix. It was the only thing that made her stomach twist every time she looked at it. Inside were DNA samples from the Zitrian ship left behind, on a small device Arisa had given to one of the scientists as a gift. It looked harmless at first, but what Alina found inside changed everything. The device contained a genetic sequence, alien, yes, but oddly familiar. The patterns were advanced, complex, and clean. But inside them, buried deep, were human gene markers. Not just scanned data, not just copies. It was active DNA already mixed with human code. They weren't just studying humans, they were creating something new. Meanwhile, inside the Zitrian ship, Ben sat quietly in the glass garden. His thoughts felt heavy. Every corner of the room whispered peace, yet his heart beat louder with each passing hour. Arisa returned, her expression soft but different, like she had something to confess. We didn't plan this, she said, sitting beside him. Not at first. Ben looked at her. Plan what? She hesitated. The admiration, the bonding, it started as curiosity. But your DNA, your emotions, they give something we lost long ago. Ben frowned. So that's all I am? A tool? Arisa's voice dropped. You are more. That's why Zorak fears you. Ben stood up. No, he doesn't fear me. He hates what I represent. Change. Back on Earth, Alina ran a simulation in her lab. She placed the Zitrian human hybrid DNA into a visual engine. What appeared on the screen was shocking, a new species. One stronger than humans, smarter than Zitrians, but most terrifying. It had no gender. The new hybrid would not need male or female roles. It would be self-sustaining, emotional, intelligent, and completely obedient to its creators. The Zitrian females weren't just admiring humans. They were preparing to replace both species quietly. Perfectly, without war, Alina picked up her communicator. We need to get Ben out now, before this becomes irreversible. At the same time, deep inside the ship, Ben was led into another room. This time, Arisa did not smile. In the center of the room was a clear pod filled with silver liquid. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. This is the core, Arisa said. It is where life begins, where the hybrid will be born. Ben stepped back. And you want me to be the father? Arisa didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand on the pod. A small drop of his blood, taken days ago, floated into the liquid. It shimmered, accepting him. Ben stared in horror. This isn't peace, he said. This is control, a sudden voice boomed through the chamber. Finally, said Zorak, appearing from the shadows. He understands. Ben turned. Arisa moved in front of him protectively. Leave, she told Zorak. You've done enough. Zorak's eyes burned. No, you have. You abandon your own for this. Soft creature. He raised his hand. The wall behind him opened, revealing a prison. Inside were two other human males. They had been taken too. Ben gasped. You lied. Arisa trembled. They were necessary for the tests. You were special. You were different. Ben's voice shook. No, I was just the first to trust you. Back on Earth, Alina activated the emergency launch drone. It carried a stealth rescue capsule, small, fast, undetectable. As it flew toward the Zitrian ship, Alina sent one last message. Ben, if you can hear this, get to the outer core bay. We're coming. She didn't know if he'd receive it, but she had no choice now. The truth was clear. This wasn't love. This was replacement disguised as admiration. Inside the ship, alarms began to ring. Zorak turned sharply. They are coming for him. You let them trace you. Arisa looked at Ben. Run? Outer core bay? Now? Ben didn't wait. He ran through glowing halls, past silent doors, heart racing. Zorak chased behind, roaring in rage. The ship shook slightly as the drone capsule entered its edge. Ben reached the docking gate and hit the emergency beacon. The door opened. Alina's voice echoed from the capsule speaker. Ben, jump now. He leapt in. The door sealed. The pod shot away. Zorak screamed as light surrounded the ship's wall. Ben was safe for now, but Earth was not. The rescue capsule flew through space like a silver bullet. Inside, Ben sat quietly, eyes fixed on the screen. His hands shook, but his mind was clear. He had seen too much. And now, Earth needed to know the truth. Dr. Alina's voice came through the speaker. Ben, we've got you. Capsule will reach the base in 6 minutes. Just breathe. He didn't answer. All he could think about were the 2 other humans still trapped inside the Zitrian ship. And the hybrid pods. This wasn't about peace anymore. It was about survival. At Earth's secret base. A team of doctors rushed into the landing bay as the capsule touched down. Ben stepped out. Pale, thinner, but alive. Alina ran toward him. For the first time, her voice shook. You made it. Ben looked her in the eye. They didn't just admire us, they used us. He handed her a small chip he had hidden during his escape. Everything's on here. Their plan, the hybrid designs, even Zorak's threats. Alina took it with shaking hands. We need to act fast. You're not the only one they've taken. That night, a secret council met underground. The chip revealed shocking truths. The Zitrian females had already created 6 hybrid embryos using human DNA. 2 more human males believed to be safe had been captured quietly. Zorak and his male followers were planning to take control of the ship by force. If war broke out between the Zitrian genders, Earth would be the battlefield. General Monroe slammed his hand on the table. We rescue our people. We destroy their lab, and if they fight us, we fight back. Alina stood up. No, we do it smarter. No attacks, no threats. We go in quietly, take our people, and shut their project down from the inside. Ben stepped forward. I know the way. I memorized the path. Give me one chance. The next morning, the escape plan began. Ben would return hidden in a shielded stealth pod, this time carrying a new device, Project Mirror. It could copy and override the Zitrian power source for 5 minutes. Just enough time to disable their lab and free the other humans. Alina gave him one final tool, ADNADSRUPR. It was small, like a pen, but could destabilize the hybrid embryos without harming anyone. You press once, she said, and their entire program ends. Ben nodded. What about Zorak? Alina looked at him. Avoid him, if you can't run. In orbit, the Zitrian ship floated silently. But inside, chaos was growing. The female council was in hiding. Zorak had taken the central command room. He had cut off contact with Earth and locked the ship's outer layers. He paced back and forth, speaking to his followers. They brought this on themselves. We offered peace. They gave us replacement. The males cheered, but far below, in the lower chamber, Orisa was working alone. She had seen Ben escape. She had let him go, and now she was ready to stop the madness her people had started. Ben's stealth pod attached to the underbelly of the ship. Unnoticed, he crawled through a narrow hatch and dropped into a dark corridor. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. He followed the glowing lines on the floor just as he remembered. Left, right, down, through the memory wall. Then he reached it. The lab. It looked just as he left it. Tubes, machines, glowing pods. And the 2 missing humans trapped in stasis chambers. Ben rushed forward. He activated the disruptor and aimed it at the main hybrid core. It blinked. Override countdown. 5 minutes. Suddenly, a noise, footsteps, heavy ones. Zorak. I knew you would return, he growled. Ben turned slowly. You're afraid? Ben said, afraid they've moved on without you. Zorak's voice cracked. They betrayed us and you helped them. Ben raised the disruptor. Then stop it. Walk away. Zorak stepped closer. Or what? You'll erase their future? Ben stared at the pods. No, I'll protect ours. He pressed the trigger. The hybrid cores flickered, turned red, then faded. The embryos were gone. Zorak roared in rage and charged. But before he reached Ben, a silver wall slammed down between them. Orisa had activated the door. She looked at Ben. Go, now. Ben released the 2 humans who were weak but alive. He helped them into the hallway as alarms blared. Behind them, Zorak pounded on the glass, screaming. Ben turned one last time. This ends here. The stealth pod launched again. 3 humans inside. 1 mission complete. Back on Earth, Alina waited. When they landed, she cried for the first time. The hybrids were gone. The team was safe. But in the sky, the Zitrian ship still floated. Silent. and divided. The escape was over, but the war of hearts and minds had just begun. Asterisk, the sky. Above Earth was clear, but tension filled the air. Everyone at the Earth base knew something was coming. The Zitrian ship hadn't moved in days. It just floated there, quiet and cold, like a sleeping giant dot inside that ship. Two sides were preparing for the same thing. A final choice on one side. The female Zitrians led by Vareya were hiding in the lower chambers. They had lost control. Their dream of peaceful connection with humans had turned into a dangerous game of jealousy and fear. On the other side, Zorak and his male warriors had taken over the ship's bridge. His voice echoed through the halls like thunder. They failed. Yes, the humans distracted them. We take the ship, we destroy the bond, and we remind the galaxy who we are. The ship's engines powered up. It was now headed directly for Earth. At the secret Earth base. Alina stared at the screen in disbelief. They're not just watching us anymore, she said. They're coming. General Monroe walked in, calm but firm. We've activated global defense systems. If they attack, we respond? Ben stood beside them, still bruised from the rescue mission. We can't let it become a war. Not yet. There are still Zitrians who want peace, I know it. Alina nodded. Then we need to speak to both sides. Loud and clear. She picked up a small transmitter project pulse bridge, a new invention that could send one message to every being on the Zitrian ship, male or female. Let's remind them why they came in the first place. In space, the ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Zorak watched the glowing planet through the glass. His expression was dark. Their time is over. Suddenly, a soft chime rang inside the ship. The message had arrived. Alina's voice filled every hall. Zitrians! This is Dr. Alina Hayes of Earth. You once came to us with admiration, with curiosity, with peace. But now your ship is broken split. Between hearts and hate. We are not your enemy, and we will not be your experiment. You must choose, destroy everything, or let something new begin. The message ended, and for a few seconds, the ship was silent. In the female chambers, Vareya looked up. Her eyes were full of pain, but also hope. She still believes in us, she whispered. Beside her, Arisa stood up. Then we must show her she's right. They moved quickly, gathering the remaining females. Their plan was simple: reach the core, disable the male override, and take back control without blood. But Zorak was already prepared. As the females entered the central chamber, the doors slammed shut. Traps were triggered. Light beams trapped them inside a force field. Zorak stepped out from the shadows. You speak of peace while locking us out for years, he growled. Now you beg for unity? Vareya replied calmly. Not unity, understanding. We were wrong to leave you behind. Zorak laughed bitterly. It's too late. Your bond with humans poisoned everything. Suddenly the lights flickered. A hidden door behind the chamber opened and Ben stepped inside. Let them go, he said. Zorak's eyes narrowed. You again? Ben walked forward, holding nothing but a small control device. You want power, Zorak, but power without purpose is just noise. Zorak raised his hand. You think you can stop me with words? Ben didn't blink. No, but they can. He pressed a button. Behind him, a group of Zitrian males entered, not soldiers, but quiet thinkers, scientists, and healers. They had been silent for too long, unsure where they stood. One of them spoke. We followed you, Zorak, because we were afraid. But fear is not strength. Another added, they may admire humans, but they never stopped being our kin. Zorak stepped back. His support was breaking. In that moment, Vareya walked past him and touched the control panel. The force field dropped. Zorak looked around. No one stood beside him now. He turned to Ben. What now, human? Will you punish me? Ben shook his head. No, that's your way, not ours. Vareya whispered, let him go. He must live with what he almost destroyed. Zorak said nothing as he left the chamber alone. Later, the Zitrian ship returned to orbit peaceful once more. Alina, Ben, and the rescued humans were invited on board, not as subjects but as guests. There were no more tests, no more hybrids. Just talks. Honest ones. Vareya stood before Earth's leaders. We came seeking something we lost. What we found was not just in your DNA, it was in your courage to feel, even when afraid. The Earth leaders nodded. There was no need for applause. The real success was silence without fear, but as the ship prepared to leave, a new signal was detected from deep space. Not ZY, Tryon. Not human. Something else. Something watching, and this time, it wasn't smiling. The Zitrian ship floated peacefully above Earth. After weeks of chaos, betrayal, and truth, there was finally silence between two worlds. The humans had survived the storm. The Zitrian males had stepped back from anger, and the females had paused their dream of creating hybrids. Inside the ship's great hall, both sides, Zitrians and humans, sat together for the first time without suspicion. Ben stood beside Dr. Alina and looked around the bright chamber. It no longer felt like a ship. It felt like a bridge between worlds. But bridges only work if both sides choose to walk. Varela stepped forward. Her voice was soft, but full of purpose. We were lost in knowledge. We forgot feeling. You reminded us. Alina nodded. We were too afraid of the unknown. You reminded us to look deeper. For a brief moment, it felt like something new had truly begun. Then, the signal returned. At first, it was just a small ping on the control board, a flicker. Then another. Then the ship shook. Lightly at first, then harder. Varela rushed to the screen. A dark shape was approaching from deep space. It wasn't ZY, Tryon. It wasn't Earth-made. It was old. Cold. And alive. Ben looked at the image on the screen. It had no clear shape, just moving shadows, shifting forms like a cloud with eyes. The ship's warning system blinked red. Unknown entity, pattern not recognized. Distance, 9,000 kilometers, approaching fast. Alina's heart skipped a beat. Do we know what it is? Varela shook her head. It's not from our charts. And it's not here to talk? Zarek entered the room. For once he didn't speak. He just stared at the shape on the screen. Arisa whispered, It was watching. Ben turned to her. Watching what? She replied. Us, all of us, the connection. The emotions, the changes. It doesn't want us to evolve. Back on Earth, military systems picked up the same signal. General Monroe stood in the control center. If it enters our orbit, we launch. But Alina sent a message back. No, not yet. Let us try one last time. This isn't a battle of weapons. It's a test of choice. Inside the Zitrian ship, the dark shape drew closer, the lights dimmed, energy fields flickered. The connection to Earth was starting to break. Varela stood before the main screen. She looked at Ben, Alina, and Zarak. We must act together. One voice, one decision. Ben stepped forward. It came to stop something. Maybe to erase the future we just began, Alina nodded. Then let's show it our future is not built on fear. The ship activated its message projector. It didn't speak in words. It spoke in feelings. One by one, the Zitrians and humans stepped into the energy field. Together, they sent out a shared signal, a pulse made of memory, thought, and connection. Ben thought of the day Arisa first asked him what love was. Alina thought of the moment she trusted Varela, even with doubt. Zarek, though silent, remembered the pain of being left out and the power of being heard again. Arisa thought of the moment she let Ben go, even though she didn't want to. All of it, empathy, trust, anger, healing, was sent outward, into the dark. For a moment, nothing happened. The shape hovered just above the ship. A quiet pressure filled the chamber, like the weight of 1,000 thoughts pressing down. Then the shadows began to shrink. Slowly, quietly. The shape faded, like mist touched by sunlight. The warning lights stopped blinking. The pressure lifted. The ship was safe, inside the hall. No one cheered. No one clapped. They just breathed. They had faced something ancient. Something that hated change, and they had survived by choosing it anyway. Later that day, Varela stood before the human delegation. We will leave your planet, but not because we fear you. We have much to learn about ourselves, about others, but we will return, not as seekers but as equals. Alina smiled. Next time, no secrets, Ben added, and no cages. Even Zarek gave a slow nod, and maybe no jealousy. When the Zitrian ship finally left Earth's orbit, people across the world watched in silence. No war had happened, no blood was spilled, but everything had changed. Back at her lab, Elena stood alone. She looked at the small DNA model spinning on her screen, the one she had once feared. The hybrid that never came to life. She deleted it. Not because it was dangerous, but because something better had already been born. Understanding. Somewhere far beyond the stars, in the dark between galaxies, the old watcher drifted again, but now it knew something had shifted, and this time, it would not be so easy to silence it.